Georgia is a place where the air itself seems heavy with memory. Beneath the moss-draped oaks and crumbling antebellum facades lies a past carved from war, sorrow, and whispered secrets. Here, every winding dirt road and faded plantation seems to echo with stories too dark to fade away. Tonight, we'll journey into Georgia's most haunted corners where Southern charm twists into dread, and the living walk side by side with shadows that refuse to rest. Keep your eyes open. The ghosts here don't wait for you to find them. They come looking. 1. The Ellis Hotel, Atlanta. In the heart of downtown Atlanta, the modern Ellis Hotel hides a horrifying past. On December 7, 1946, when it was known as the Winecoff Hotel, tragedy struck. A fire ripped through the 15-story building, trapping hundreds of guests inside, with no fire escapes or sprinklers. 19 people lost their lives in what remains the deadliest hotel fire in U.S. history. Today, the Ellis Hotel stands rebuilt, its polished facade concealing the scars of that night. But the spirits of those who perished have never left. Guests report waking in the middle of the night to the sound of pounding on their doors, only to find the hallway empty. Others hear frantic screams muffled through the walls or smell smoke when none is present. The elevators are said to move on their own, opening to reveal empty cars filled with the faint stench of burning wood. In certain rooms, guests feel an overwhelming sense of dread, as if suffocating. Staff whisper about apparitions, figures in nightgowns or suits wandering aimlessly, their faces pale and confused, reliving their final desperate moments. Would you dare sleep on the upper floors, knowing that once, people leapt from those very windows to escape the flames? The Ellis Hotel may shine as a symbol of rebirth, but its foundation rests on the ashes of one of Atlanta's darkest nights. And sometimes the past refuses to burn away. 2. Bonaventure Cemetery, Savannah. Perhaps no cemetery in the South is as hauntingly beautiful or as famously haunted as Bonaventure Cemetery. Draped in Spanish moss, its winding paths are lined with weathered headstones and elaborate monuments, creating a dreamlike atmosphere where life and death blur together. But beneath its beauty lies a restless undercurrent, a place where the dead still whisper to the living. The most iconic spirit here is little Gracie. Gracie Watson was just 6 years old when she died of pneumonia in 1889. Her grave is marked by a lifelike marble statue, forever capturing her innocence. Visitors leave toys, flowers, and coins at her resting place, but many claim Gracie has not stayed confined to stone. Her spirit is seen wandering the cemetery, a child in a white dress, sometimes smiling sweetly, sometimes weeping softly before vanishing among the trees. Other spirits are said to linger near the family plots, their outlines drifting through the mist. At night, voices echo faintly across the grounds, and some swear they hear hymns sung by a ghostly choir. Even in daylight, Bonaventure feels charged, as though unseen eyes are always watching. The cemetery's beauty draws countless tourists, yet those who linger too long describe a sudden chill, a deep melancholy that sinks into the bones. Bonaventure is both a garden and a grave, a reminder that in Savannah, the line between the living and the dead has always been fragile. 3. The Pirates' House, Savannah. At the edge of Savannah's historic district lies the Pirates' House, a tavern and inn first established in 1753. Once a refuge for sailors and scoundrels, it quickly earned a reputation for danger and debauchery. Tales of kidnappings and murder swirl around its past, and secret tunnels beneath the building allegedly carried drugged victims straight to waiting ships, never to be seen again. Step inside, and the weight of that history is impossible to ignore. The floorboards creak as though they remember every heavy bootstep of long-dead sailors. Guests report ghostly figures lingering near the bar, rugged men with hollow eyes who vanish when approached. In the basement, where the tunnels once opened into darkness, shadowy figures slither across the walls, and whispers echo from nowhere. One of the tavern's most famous spirits is said to be Captain Flint, immortalized in Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island. Locals claim his ghost still haunts the inn, his booming voice ringing out in drunken songs, his presence filling the air with the smell of salt and gunpowder. Even the staff tread carefully after closing time. They speak of bottles moving on their own, tables rattling violently, and unseen hands tugging at their clothing. The pirate's house may serve hearty meals and drinks today, but beneath its cheerful exterior lurks a history written in blood and betrayal. If you walk its halls after hours, don't be surprised if a ghostly sailor brushes past you, headed for the tunnels to drag you into the dark. Or Rhodes Hall, Atlanta. Nicknamed the Castle on Peachtree, Rhodes Hall looks like a relic from a Gothic fairy tale, but its beauty conceals an atmosphere heavy with unease. Built in 1904 by furniture magnate Amos Rhodes, the Romanesque Revival mansion features stained glass windows and towering stone walls. Yet many who step inside claim the castle's past residents never truly departed. Visitors often describe feeling watched while walking up the spiral staircase, as though invisible eyes linger just behind them. Footsteps echo through empty halls, and phantom voices rise and fall in what sounds like whispered arguments. Paranormal investigators have documented disembodied children's laughter in the nursery, even when no children are anywhere near the property. The most unsettling encounters come from the master bedroom. Some say the ghost of Amos Rhodes himself still roams the room, unsettled and territorial. Guests have felt sudden bursts of icy air or a crushing pressure on their chest while trying to sleep. Others have reported seeing shadowy figures gathering near the ornate stained glass windows, shapes that seem to shift and sway, even when no one is moving. Would you dare stand in that castle at night, listening as invisible footsteps creep closer, closer, until you can almost feel breath at the back of your neck? Rhodes Hall is not just Atlanta's castle. It is Atlanta's echo chamber of restless spirits. 5. The Windsor Hotel, Americas. Standing proudly in Americas, the Windsor Hotel looks like a fairy tale castle with its grand turrets and sweeping balconies. But behind its red brick facade, stories of tragedy and spectral guests keep the hotel's history steeped in dread. Built in 1892, it was the crown jewel of the town, yet like many grand hotels of the South, it has seen more sorrow than celebration. One of its most enduring legends is the ghost of a chambermaid and her daughter. Both were pushed or perhaps fell down an elevator shaft in the early 1900s. Since then, guests report hearing the faint cries of a child echoing in the corridors, or the soft padding of bare feet that stop just behind them. Doors open and close on their own, and cold drafts sweep across the rooms even in the sweltering Georgia heat. The most haunted area is said to be room 333. Guests who stay here describe being woken by a woman's anguished sobbing, or the sensation of someone sitting on the edge of the bed. Staff have even claimed to see a motherly figure walking the halls at night. holding a small child by the hand before disappearing into the shadows. The Windsor still welcomes visitors, offering fine dining and southern hospitality. But when the lights dim and the hallways fall silent, the ghosts of sorrow and loss remind every guest that not all who check in ever truly leave. 6. Oakland Cemetery, Atlanta. Beneath the shadow of Atlanta's skyline lies Oakland Cemetery, a sprawling necropolis that is as beautiful as it is unsettling. Established in 1850, it holds over 70,000 graves, including Confederate soldiers, politicians, and victims of the city's most devastating plagues. Marble angels lean against cracked headstones, their faces weathered by time, but some say those stone eyes are not as lifeless as they appear. At dusk, the cemetery seems to breathe with a strange energy. Visitors have reported seeing phantom soldiers still marching among the graves, their boots echoing faintly on gravel paths. Others claim to hear the mournful wails of women dressed in black, drifting between the mausoleums in eternal grief. Photographers sometimes find strange orbs of light hovering in their images, as if the spirits are drawn to the flash. The cemetery's most infamous tale is of a Confederate soldier who wanders restlessly, searching for his lost regiment. Witnesses describe him as pale, his uniform ragged, his eyes hollow yet full of sorrow. He approaches with a desperate expression, but before a word can escape his lips, he fades into the night air. Would you wander Oakland's paths after midnight, knowing the dead don't always lie still among the cracked marble and curling iron gates? Atlanta's past lingers like a whisper you can't quite shake. Moon River Brewing Company on Savannah. Just a short walk away, in the heart of Savannah, sits the Moon River Brewing Company. Today, it's a popular spot for a cold beer, but the building's past is soaked in violence. Originally the City Hotel, built in 1821, it hosted politicians, gamblers, and traveling elites. But its halls also saw gunfights, brawls, and lynchings. During the Civil War, Union soldiers used the basement as a morgue, and many of those corpses never left. Step inside, and you may feel the shift. The basement is said to be one of the most haunted places in Savannah. Staff refuse to go down there alone, reporting dark figures darting between the support beams and an overwhelming sense of dread. Upstairs, an entity known as Toby has been blamed for shoving patrons, tugging hair, and sending glasses flying from the bar. Some claim the second floor is the most dangerous. Investigators report being scratched by invisible hands and chased by a presence that growls in the darkness. Lights flicker, shadows stretch unnaturally long, and a whispering voice sometimes hisses a single word: leave. But the most unsettling detail, guests drinking their pints often catch sight of pale faces staring from the upstairs windows, even though the rooms above are locked and abandoned. The Moon River Brewing Company invites you to raise a glass. But remember, you may not be drinking alone. 8. The Marshall House Hotel, Savannah. Few places in Georgia can rival the Marshall House when it comes to layers of history and hauntings. Built in 1851, this elegant hotel has welcomed guests for generations. But beneath its charm lies a past riddled with suffering. During the Civil War, it was converted into a Union hospital, where countless soldiers lay in agony. Amputations were carried out in the rooms, blood dripping onto the wooden floors. Later, yellow fever outbreaks filled its halls with the cries of dying children. Stay the night, and you may find yourself sharing your room with more than just shadows. Guests report faucets turning on by themselves, footsteps pacing overhead, and doorknobs rattling in the dead of night. Others wake to see a soldier standing silently at the foot of their bed, his uniform torn and bloodied. When the lights flicker, the air seems to thicken, carrying the faint metallic smell of iron or blood. One of the most chilling encounters happens in the hallways. People have described the sound of children's laughter, followed by the sensation of tiny hands brushing against their legs. Yet when they look down, nothing is there. Would you dare sleep here, knowing the very walls once soaked up screams and suffering? The Marshall House smiles for the tourists by day, but by night, its true guests walk freely. Old Candler Hospitals, Savannah. In another corner of Savannah, the Old Candler Hospital broods quietly, its windows staring blankly over Forsyth Park. This was the South's first hospital, built in the early 1800s, and it became a pit of suffering during yellow fever outbreaks that devastated the city. The dead piled so high that the hospital grounds had to be expanded into a mass graveyard, a place still known as the Candler Oak Burial Site. Beneath that massive tree, countless bodies were lowered into the earth. Some say you can still feel them, pressing against the soil, hungry for acknowledgement. Inside, ghostly shapes drift along the old wards. Nurses in outdated uniforms vanish through walls. Visitors hear the rattling of gurneys on cracked tile floors, even though the building has long been abandoned. In the basement, a tunnel once carried the dead discreetly out of sight now. People report footsteps following them through the pitch-black corridors, closing in until a cold hand brushes their arm. The hospital no longer heals. It only remembers. And the memories here don't rest quietly. If you stand beneath the Candler Oak at night, you may feel the weight of centuries pressing down, as if the ground itself is breathing with the restless dead. 10. The Sorrel-Weed House, Savannah. On Madison Square in Savannah, the Sorrel-Weed House stands like a monument to tragedy. From the outside, it's an elegant Greek Revival mansion, a testament to the city's wealth. But step inside, and you enter a space soaked in death and despair. In the 1800s, Francis Sorrel was one of Savannah's most prominent merchants, but his family life was twisted with betrayal. His wife, Matilda, discovered his affair with an enslaved woman named Molly. Soon after, Matilda threw herself from the balcony, her body shattering on the bricks below. Days later, Molly was found hanging in the carriage house. Their restless spirits, bound by sorrow and violence, never left. Visitors describe sudden bursts of icy air in the parlor where Matilda's body was laid. Shadows dart across mirrors, and female voices whisper in empty rooms. The carriage house is worse. Investigators claim screams echo from the rafters. And some guests swear they've seen a figure swaying, as if caught in an invisible noose. Would you walk up those creaking steps, knowing betrayal and despair still linger in the walls? Or would you stand on the sidewalk, watching curtains twitch as unseen eyes stare back at you? The Sorrel-Weed House is beautiful on the surface, but beauty here comes with blood beneath it. The night grows quiet, but the echoes of these places do not fade. Georgia's haunted mansions, forgotten cemeteries, and shadow-drenched streets are more than stories. They are reminders that the past never truly dies. Perhaps, as you sit there now, some part of these restless spirits are listening, waiting, watching. When you close your eyes tonight, Think carefully, are you alone? Or has something followed you from the dark corners of Savannah, Atlanta, or America's the South never forgets, and neither do its ghosts? Sleep well, if you can. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this chilling journey, don't forget to like, comment with your favorite haunted location, and subscribe for more weekly videos from the shadows.